Alright, we're live. Finally, we're back. After, like, what, 6 months?
Something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you canceled Peekaboo on me like 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, I had to. I'm sorry.
But that's
But
okay, your timing is great.
it
Because
is. I mean, I did
you
it
didn't do
just
it
in
all
time.
summer.
No, I didn't do that
And
at
I
all.
and I couldn't have been here.
Oh.
So,
The reason why I did it tonight is because tomorrow is the anniversary, 1 year anniversary of Breaking Bad, season finale.
doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't. I can't believe it's been a year.
I'm watching Felina tomorrow night. I was already listening to El Paso yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I listen to a lot of Breaking Bad music now or songs
Oh,
they
I
play on
have
Breaking
to. I
Bad.
have to. I mean, when I'm at work, that's all I have. I mean, I'm bored. I just listen to Breaking Bad music. So
And
let's
it's
get down to
exhilarating.
Peekaboo, one of my favorites from this season. To recap from episode 5, Walt and Jesse was collaborating to distribute meth using Combo, Skinny Pete, and Badger. Skinny Pete got mugged from Spooge,
Skank.
and his lady Skank, and his girl, and
Also referred to as Slit at one point, but
they never
mostly
say her
Skank.
name. They never say her name.
Skank and Slit, but mostly Skank. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So they mugged Skinny Pete, and Walt told Jesse to take care of it, and that's exactly what he did this tonight on Peekaboo.
Well,
Um,
it took care of itself, but he tried.
yeah. And did you feel that this episode was more of a Jesse episode than a Walt episode?
Yeah, there's big stuff going on with Walt and Skyler in
Hmm.
this, and every time I watch it, and I mean, I've watched a lot,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's right, the Gretchen, Skyler, Walt thing.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that until
But
Gretchen showed up.
it's not like I don't remember that, but
Hmm.
I don't remember it being in this episode. To me, it is all about, it's a
Yeah.
Jesse character study.
Yeah. And even though Jesse was prominently featured in this episode, we, like you said, we got a little more backstory with Walt and Gretchen.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you know how we argue sometimes amongst ourselves about whether Walt got screwed by Gretchen and Elliot, or if he
hmm.
let. I think it really emphasized that he did.
Yeah.
He let himself be a doormat to a certain extent, but they ran with it.
Hmm.
And this is the impetus for everything. But I'll let you get there. But
Yeah.
because Walt gives a lecture, it's in class
Hmm.
that ties into that.
It does. To bring that up, every time they have Walt lecturing the class, it foreshadows something. Example, when he was talking about fulminated mercury, he uses
Yep.
fulminated mercury to blow up Tuco's place.
Yep.
So I thought that was a little neat.
Explosions. Yep.
Yeah, so this episode it features prominently on Jesse, but a little more backstory for Walt. Um, I just got finished watching it, and it is hilarious. I really do. I think there's some strong funny points with Scrooge and his skank. I think
Oh yeah.
all that was hilarious. What stood out to you in this episode?
I think that what stands out to me the most is that they're drawing Jesse for us.
Hmm.
He won't even kill the bug in the beginning.
Hmm.
He's treating that bug like he treated the little kid,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and he's not a gangster, and he's got to practice
Hmm.
being tough. He's got to tweak first, and he's practicing, and then he stops, and he's like himself, being nice to the mail lady,
Hmm.
because she's nice, and he's all polite, and then he gets there, and there's this kid, and anybody else may have just said, go to your room or wherever you go. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
But he looked out for this kid, and it was because he did that he let his guard down and he could have been in big trouble.
Hmm.
At the end of it, Jesse didn't take care of anything. It
It took
he,
care of itself, really.
yeah, he didn't take care of anything, but we got to see what he was like.
Hmm.
And he's about to run out of that place, and it's the kid, and he doesn't want the kid to see anything, and he tries to set him up so that the cops will find him immediately and have a good rest of your life, kid.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure we've gotten, because we're still early in it. We're only in season 2. I think they're trying to brush off the loser Jesse that they figured they'd plan on, since they're going to kill him anyway.
Yeah.
And now they're developing him.
Hmm. And we see more of that development when he meets Brock.
Yep. He's not down with
later
Andrea.
seasons.
Yeah. He will do drugs with Jane. But
Hmm.
Jane doesn't have a kid.
Yeah.
When we get to Andrea, he's like, he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want her to do that.
Hmm.
He changes a lot with that. But yeah, he treats kids really well because he's still a kid himself. There's something about his parenting where he never really got nurtured.
Hmm.
And he's trying to reclaim that, and he's sensitive to that. And he won't let down a child.
Yeah, and we saw that earlier with his little brother when he was teaching him some stuff. When he said that's skunk weed.
Yeah, and and it was his weed,
Yeah.
and Jesse took the fall.
Hmm.
And then, oh my God, of course, later on, Dead Freight, that kid.
Yeah. Drew.
Yep. He was the only one who gave a shit, really.
Hmm.
Except for maybe Mike.
Hmm.
You know, you had Todd and Walt. Todd did it. Walt didn't care,
Yeah.
but Jesse cares. So yeah, big character study.
And
He was sharp when he was sharp
hmm
during that ordeal.
yeah. And also when that kid, spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen, shot Combo.
That was
That was
Andrea's little brother, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. And he got upset about that because Gus used kids for that.
Right. Oh, and yeah, and he stood right up to Gus.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, he's distracted by this kid, and he that thing in the beginning with the bug.
Hmm.
This is a guy who doesn't like to kill, and we're gonna get there again with Gale.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to kill a thing. I mean, not even a bug. And then Skinny Pete comes over and stomps it. Jesse's got to stop himself from reacting.
Hmm.
There's a
You saw
brief,
his face. I saw his face. I saw that face when he's like that.
and then he zips up.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be cool.
Hmm.
He'd be the P word.
You can go ahead and say it.
All right, pussy. Well, he says that.
He said, yeah.
Yeah, got one for each kneecap and an extra round for the cranial. For being such a pussy. I think I know every line to that now. And I was trying to pay attention to the artsy stuff, like things like music.
Mhm.
There's only one song. It's John Coltrane, I believe. And it's just a jazz song playing in the restaurant.
Hmm.
But all the other music we hear is Dave Porter, and I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to that.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed is when he's sitting in the house and he hears noise, somebody's coming out of a room,
Hmm.
and he gets ready with the gun, and they're playing Dave Porter's music is really foreboding, like something big is going to happen, and then out comes little pipsqueak, and then it just goes away, and he turns on the TV and sits down.
Hmm.
Like, another stranger in the house, yeah, I'm used to that. So where's your dad, Mr. Spooge? That was one of the funny things.
It was. I like when he said, don't you want to watch Mr. Rogers or something?
Yeah, and tries to, and the kid's like, good luck with that. not
At
saying
least,
anything.
at least the kid is learning to count. The guy counted those knives out for him.
Oh my God, I said the same thing today. I said the same thing. You can't have Sesame Street. They got up to 20. That was pretty good for that age, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and Jesse asks him, "Where's your dad, Mr. Spooge?" "I'm hungry." I think
Mm.
they're the only two words that kid says.
I think he said peekaboo too.
He said peekaboo?
I think he did.
Because I thought he just did it. This was a very mute kid.
Mm.
If it weren't
I
for
remember him saying it. I just got done watching it, and I forgot what he said. I remember him saying, "I'm hungry."
you get the impression that this is a kid who doesn't speak because Skank and Spooge berate
Mm.
him for it.
Yeah.
And big things happen right in front of him, and he doesn't utter a sound.
Mm-hmm.
He just looks. And he knows better than to complain about anything.
Mm-hmm.
All he did was say, "I'm hungry" to Jesse, and he never asked anybody for a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people were the lowest of the low.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. Like, we got different levels of bad.
Mm-hmm.
These
I like
guys
how
are,
they really capture that, even with the set design of the house. I mean, some people actually really live like that, and they capture that perfectly.
it was nasty. Yeah, and then I noticed there was this thing when Jesse walks in, he breaks the window, he climbs in, and he's
Mm-hmm.
walking through the first room, and he's just kind of looking around at stuff. And all of a sudden, they make the camera get jerky, like a real brief, like fast forward,
Mm-hmm.
which really added to the pandemonium of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the other artsy thing I noticed, I mean, there's a few, but when he's approaching the house, he's completely framed by this like tear in whatever suffices as their window covering.
Mm-hmm.
As he comes in, he's completely and it's all black and
Mm-hmm.
ripped,
Yeah.
and it's like the intro to this house of horrors. Yeah, that house is nasty. These people have been doing drugs for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this kid even has some, you know, congenital issues
Yeah.
because of it. But he definitely has emotional issues. That kid doesn't say a word.
Mm-hmm. You can
I
tell
mean,
the kid's been through a lot.
you
Just
give me
a
one hit
lot.
and I'll be any kind of mother you want. And
Oh my
where's the
God.
kid? What are you asking me for? That is as bad as anybody ever gets.
I
Ever.
think that was some best dialogue ever in an episode.
Oh yeah, their exchanges were great.
Yeah.
Their exchanges were, and Jesse was his practicing paid off because he was actually more convincing with them
Mm-hmm.
than he was on that front porch practicing. "Where's my money, bitch? Where's my money, bitch?" Come on, you know. And he got in there. He was funny,
Yeah. And
and
and there were some serious moments in the episode as well. When he says he's going to make it his life's mission for them not to get high ever again. That was pretty ballsy for him to say that.
until he got what was coming to him.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Like, if you want to get high, cough it up
Mm-hmm.
or squat it out. Oh my God, that was like when I watch with my watching buddy, the person in my life who loves this as much as I do. He always cringes at that scene. I cringe a bit too. And then we always cringe at the ATM thing. But I mean, seriously, these two are. I mean, how bad can you get?
Mm-hmm.
They're walking around with drugs up their butts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nasty and it's got to be ridiculously uncomfortable. It's almost. It highlights the pointlessness of doing this kind of level of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, she's taken too much heroin, and she says to Spooge she needs a little hit of meth to even her out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about you don't do it and you'll be even already? You know,
Yeah.
like, I went down here, now I gotta get up. I'm trying to find the right balance. Oh my God. And of course, the obvious thing is, I ain't no skank. Yeah, you are. There's a picture of you in the dictionary next to that word. And she was. She made Wendy look like a nun.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to choose between Wendy or her, I
I'd
would go
hang
with
with
Wendy.
Wendy.
I go
Yeah.
with Wendy.
Oh, totally. They were. I can't remember seeing more pathetic, disgusting, nasty creatures on that show. Maybe you can think of others who are equally pathetic, but they were nasty.
Yeah.
And like when Jesse's making them empty their pockets and take off their shoes, even their shoes, or
Yeah.
these are youngish people. They're not that old. They look like they're in their 40s because of the drugs that they do,
Hmm.
but they're probably early 30s
At
at
least.
the
I
latest.
mean,
At the latest,
yeah.
it's the drugs that makes them look the way they do. I mean, that kid's only like 4 or 5.
Hmm.
You know, I don't know. A skank like her would have gotten knocked up a long time ago. I think she was pregnant in her 20s. You know, yeah.
Hmm.
But they were pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And so and that's a perfect backdrop when you're trying to like reset Jesse's character for us. Start
Hmm.
elevating him.
Yeah.
Here, have this backdrop. You know, it's like I don't know. Even Jesse's house at its worst was
Hmm.
not at that level of filth.
Yeah.
His was more messy. Theirs is dirty.
Yeah, Jesse's house, just a fresh coat of paint will clean that up. But their house, that needs to be demolished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
But
go ahead.
Gretchen and Elliot. Well, no Elliot in this one. Gretchen.
Oof. Let's continue on with the under part of this show. I mean, I think, like I said, the Jesse segments were overshadowing Walt's segments. Um, Gretchen found out that Walt has been lying to Skyler and them about her and Elliot paying for his medicine, and it all came out between Walt and Gretchen. But before we get to that, you said that you had something to say about Walt's lecture to the students.
Oh, when he went on that carbon lecture and he
Yeah.
talked about the man who invented the synthetic diamond. And Principal Carmen's watching. She's in the room.
Hmm.
And he goes into saying how this guy got a $10 savings bond from some big GE, was it?
Yeah.
General Electric? And they have this invention. And he got a. That was Walt talking about himself with
Yeah.
gray matter.
Yeah.
Completely.
Hmm.
And then it comes out in their conversation, and he even says, my research, my work.
Hmm.
She doesn't argue that against that. She just says her excuse is that he left her. It's a
Yeah.
really, really lame argument on her point. And I can't believe that it took me going back to realize this is real. Gretchen and Elliot owe Walt so much because
Hmm.
they wouldn't be where they were without him.
Yeah.
You know, who cares who left who and what settlement he made? They owe him, and they should be paying for his treatment, but they did offer. He
Hmm.
declined. Before I forget that part, when Walt and Skyler are talking about cutting off the money that they weren't sending in the first place,
Hmm.
and she says, well, you know, she still drives a Bentley. He says they're prideful people. My friend pointed that out as I was watching it today. Yeah, so are you, Walt.
Hmm.
That's because this is his problem.
Yeah.
The whole series. It's a pride thing. It's an ego thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, they do. I probably watched this episode 30 times in my life already. You know,
And uh,
and
and going back to the sit down between Gretchen and Walt, it answers the question of why he's doing this, which is to build his own empire, something that Gretchen and Elliot didn't let him do with Gray Matter.
yeah, and, I mean, and even though he won't take, he feels like he deserves their money
Hmm.
because, you know, he earned it for them.
Hmm.
Uh, he won't take it. His pride issue is so big because it's pressing. He's only got a couple of years maybe
Do
to
you
be the
think
man.
Walt thinks that the money that Gretchen and Elliot is giving him should be his already, and that's why he won't take it?
I think he thinks it should be his, but he won't take it because his ego is just that big of an issue to him, you know, and he has to make it himself.
Hmm.
Screw you, I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't need you guys. It's really, really important to him. I
Hmm.
mean, and that's important to him at the very end. And you thought that he was going to say, um, if for any reason you incur costs, or I don't know, you thought he was going to say something different, but he didn't want them to spend a dime of their money
Hmm.
at all in this task that he gave them, the trust.
Yeah.
Lawyers' fees, whatever you take out of here, not one dime of your money. 2 years later, he still feels the same way.
Hmm.
But her excuses were so lame.
Yeah.
But I have to say, she was kind enough not to let Skylar in on it.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised that she didn't let Skylar in. You think there was a certain reason why?
Maybe she feels for her. She was with Walt. She was Walt's woman.
Hmm.
And abruptly, without warning, he left. You could tell when she talked about it, she was still really devastated about it, something she'd carry for the rest of her
Hmm.
life. And here's Skylar, who seems like, I mean, of course, she's perfectly friendly, intelligent, kind woman, you know. And Gretchen, and she's pregnant, she's got this kid, with CP, and this husband with cancer. Gretchen's not about to add to her stress. That's
Yeah.
Walt's problem, you know. But you notice when Walt says he needs to walk Gretchen out to her car,
Hmm.
Skylar's look on her face. Like, but interestingly enough, and then I went on to the next episode, and Walt is in this. He's got a great tactic here. When he's talking to Skylar, he comes home from seeing Gretchen,
Hmm.
and Skylar at first, okay, you were gone without explanation. We're beyond talking about that. And they end up sitting down, and she says, um, Gretchen called. Um, Walt offers nothing. He wants Skylar. He doesn't want to bring up possible things that Gretchen may have said if they
Hmm.
don't have to be.
Yeah.
So he makes Skylar initiate everything
Hmm.
and then addresses it. So that if she doesn't have to find out no money ever came from them, then great.
Yeah.
And Skylar still trusts him enough to do that, to go along with that. Eventually, that's not going to work on her.
Hmm.
No, you talk first, Walt. Well, is what's going to happen. But right now,
Yeah.
she still has this love and trust for him, and he's like, just tell me what she said. And then he filled in some stuff, and they were good with it as
Hmm.
far as they could be. but they were on the same page and they weren't at odds. They were, it was kind of an affectionate moment between the two of them. But yeah, he's pulling the wool over her eyes. She's not a woman you can do that easily with, but she doesn't give into that kind of tactic unless she trusts you.
Yeah.
And she's not going to eventually, but she still does.
Mm-hmm.
But the prideful people thing, man, that is Walt right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely his work was stolen.
It was. I wish they would have filled in more about why Walt left Gretchen. What do you think could be the reason why he left her?
Yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe there was just something about it he didn't feel like they clicked. Maybe it just didn't work. I don't even know if it's that important, though. Because the reason doesn't change the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He left. She's got baggage. He's got baggage. Elliot's got baggage. And Walt gets ripped off in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because A, Gretchen and Elliot feel like they were both abandoned. And B, Walt has too much pride to take what he really does feel like is rightfully his.
Yeah.
And I know that Skyler's got to know this, but she never pushes. Because from what we gather later on, he made a fair deal. He sold his share for a few months' rent. But whether it's ethical is a different story. Oh, there was a little scene in here, too, where evil Walt starts coming out to Junior.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Go for it.
Yes, a little bit of Heisenberg came out in Peekaboo. Walt was talking to Junior and was like, I want you to find out who did this. And by that, he means he found one of those flyers that Walt Jr. made when he went missing and said, help, I'm missing my pants, or something like that.
Yep.
And Walt told Junior that he wants that man ID'd so they can take him out into the desert, put him in a ditch full of fire ants. And then Junior came up and said, what about scorpions?
Yep. And it was just joking between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
Walt sounded like he was a little bit serious.
Yeah. Because he's in this mode.
Mm-hmm.
He's killed already.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And he's prideful. Haven't we already gone through the stay out of my territory scene already?
Not yet. That is, that's when he's...
Oh, that's right. Holly's born. Never mind. You're right.
Yeah, Holly's been born. Yeah, I think that's season 3. Season 3, I think.
But he's not... I don't know. He's not in any... like Kingpin type of position right now.
No.
I mean, pretty soon he'll see Saul and say he's got to launder $16,000, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Secondhand Subaru, after all is said and done. But I mean, he's the one that tells Jesse, and maybe that's because he can remove himself from it. Like you said, last episode, handled this.
Yeah.
Can't have people think that you can rip you off.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to handle this.
And then just to tease a little bit more, going into the next episode, he says, forget about it.
Yeah.
Calls up Jesse and said, forget about it.
Yeah. A little late on that. That scene's great. If you do this next week, I'm going to miss it probably. A couple more weekends.
I'm not going to do this weekly. I might do it like once or twice a month.
Cool, that I won't miss next week probably. But we're still doing tourist season up here till Columbus Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but one little thing that I just noticed I wrote. When Gretchen is at their house and she hangs out with Skyler for a while,
mm-hmm.
and Walter Jr. and Walt come home together, and at first, before Walter Jr. gets to speak, she seemed a little overly affectionate with Walt to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was bordering on inappropriate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's the moment when Skyler thought that him and Gretchen was having an affair.
No, because at that point, Skyler wasn't having a problem at all. She just thought, I mean, she wasn't doing anything sexual.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I don't know, maybe this is me, I would be like, all right, I could see a hug and stuff, but the head, and it was almost like, get a room. But, not really, but I don't know. Skyler was smiley. She never talked about that. It wasn't about that. It was about the going out to the car afterwards.
Yeah.
Skyler wasn't having a problem with this. I was. Like, back off, Gretchen.
Well,
Always...
Gretchen had to make it look good in front of everybody.
And I think she actually felt genuinely happy to see Walt, despite the fact that this was going on in the background, until Junior says, "Oh, thank you so much," and then a whole different look washes over Gretchen's face, and she's out of there.
Yeah.
But at first, I think she was genuinely happy to see Walt.
Because we haven't seen Gretchen or Elliot ever since Grey Matter, the very 5th episode of season 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to see him again until season 5 now.
Yeah, I think ever since that, they've been dropped, and they won't come back till season 5.
Which was great. So glad they did.
Yeah. A 16-year-old kid came up with that.
What was that?
A 16-year-old, apparently...
the one with cancer!
Yeah. He said, what happened to Gretchen and Elliot? And Vince Gilligan said, we probably won't see much of them. And then they came back to do season 5, and they said, well, let's bring in Gretchen and Elliot again.
And they offered to tell him what was going to happen, and he said he'd watch it. And he didn't get to. That was sad.
Yeah.
They dedicated one of the episodes to him.
I thought they dedicated the whole 5th season for him.
You think every episode was?
I think it was.
I'll have to check that out when I'm watching that. I don't know if it was the last. I think because I'm pretty sure it was Felina. Was for him. But any one of those last 3 would have been. Hey, speaking of, just really briefly, Emmys. Did you see that? You must have seen that.
Yeah, they beasted the Emmys again.
Cranston, Anna Gunn, Aaron Paul. They got. You know what the biggest surprise was to me? Maura Walley-Beckett beating Vince Gilligan for the they were competing in the same category.
Yeah.
Best writing for an episode for a drama series. Ozymandias versus Felina. Ozymandias took it. She took it. That was pretty awesome. So many great things.
Did you see the Emmys commercial with Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul for the pawn shop?
Oh my God! Yes, I did. And with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That was fun. They need to do a web series.
Huh?
I mean, freaking hilarious. I will watch that.
That was good. And they were both they were just so dumb. Both of them.
I like the Breaking Bad twist at the end, but it turned out to be puppies.
Cuffies?
Puppies. They was in a puppy cleaning business. They groom puppies.
All right, I'm gonna have to see that again. I saw that probably 2 months ago. Oh, but there were a couple of things that reminded me of other things, and the one that stands out right now. And I know this is weird. It's not a comparison directly, but when Skank goes with the ATM machine, does that, first thing she does is go over to him, his body, and raid his pockets because she wants. I thought she wanted the meth. It looked like she did the heroin. I'm not sure. Because she got whatever she got, and she went on the couch and zoned out.
Yeah.
But she went right to his pocket to get what she needed. I could not help but staying it to the handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
That was what he needed.
Yeah.
And there was such a similarity, but it was Spooge's left pocket, and I think Jesse got the keys out of Todd's right pocket, so isomers, left-hand, right-handed, what do they call that? Anyway.
Ambidextrous?
No, Walt did a discussion on this. Isotopes, right-handed and
Yeah.
left-handed, I think it was. Isomers, not isotopes. Isomers. And one chemical in, like the left hand, is really good for pregnant women for this reason, but the right-handed one, example, will cause birth defects. It's the same chemicals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Jesse killed somebody who deserved to be killed and took what he needed for his own survival.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a skank, killing somebody for calling her a stupid word.
Yeah.
And immediately went into his pocket for drugs, which I think was the meth. She'd been bugging him for the meth.
Mm-hmm.
And
That ATM scene, oh my, that is awesome. I like that.
I love when it finally pops open. And
Yeah.
Jesse's not trying to get it open.
He's trying to wipe his prints off, and
he's getting his prints off everything. He worked so fast.
mm-hmm.
The guy, well, no, because that's still coming up, I think. Yeah. Because sometimes he thinks so well, but in the future, not too long from now, we're going to see him not thinking very well.
Mm-hmm.
So he's growing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the fingerprints, the kid, call 911, drop the phone, don't say a word, put the kid outside. But he's just wiping the ATM off the prints.
And after they took a sledgehammer to it, and Spooge took a drill for the bottom, all it took was a little wiping the fingerprints off, and it comes out.
Victimless crime.
I like that part too. I like how they.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Back to Spooge when he's talking about how they stole the ATM, and they shot the guy, or they killed the guy somehow to take the ATM.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was a bloody scene, and that's all you see of it,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody else knows. As far as Jesse knows, it's true.
Yeah.
They never mention it again, and they've done this. This is the 7th time. So they have killed at least 7 people, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean.
oh my God, there was something about that.
I mean, they didn't really need to show
FIDC
to the viewer of how they did it. I'm just surprised that they actually showed the scene of how they did it.
That they killed somebody? No,
Yeah.
and it was just a little slice.
I mean,
and this is like, it's an efficient, this is how Breaking Bad can be so efficient in conveying things
mm-hmm.
that don't need to take up a lot of airtime. Just
mm-hmm.
30 seconds maybe?
Yeah.
Not even. And it's a big, big deal, and you got it.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. And then he doesn't even, Jesse's like, that's my bank. Spooge is like, it's FIDC insured, yo. He doesn't even get that right. It's, anyway. Victimless crime. Cut to that scene in the bodega.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If there's a male version of a skank, he's that, which is one of the ironies of all of this. And he's like, where would you put your weak spot? Gotta have a weak spot. Nowhere. I make it, strong.
I think the guy that plays Spooge is a comedian, and he did that role pretty well. He was pretty freaking funny. I mean, if there was a Spooge show, I would watch that. Him and his skank.
Spooge and Skank show.
I would watch that. I don't care if it's on HBO or what. I would totally watch it.
Watch Child Services come and take their child away.
Yeah.
Watch the city condemn their house. You know, definitely they're a candidate for hoarders.
Hmm.
Oh, that was so bad. But you know, I watched this episode. I was like, this is one of my favorites. I'm so glad I took tonight off to do it. And then I watched the next episode and went, you know what? That one's deeper than this one.
Hmm.
But this one's epic. Nobody
Yep.
will ever forget that ATM machine and that sound.
I like.
Oh,
Oh man. If did you notice in the end they used the sound of the sledgehammer to the ATM machine for the ending song?
shoot. See, now I didn't.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah, they did. You're gonna
That's
have to watch that
perfect.
again.
The ending is always different. The ending music they always play with. It's great.
Yeah, like they did with Hector's bell, that ding, ding, ding for the ending. They did the same thing for the sledgehammer to the ATM machine.
They're all different. Remember I think the one with that's season 5, Jesse and Walt in that like square
Hmm.
where they go to meet, and there's this bell chiming, like
Yeah.
clock tower chiming, and they use that.
Hmm.
It's like all you can think of is "For Whom the Bell Tolls,"
Yeah.
and they use that in the ending. But it took my watching friend to tell me, you never noticed every time they end the episode, it's a variation on the theme music, and I'm like, no. I mean, I've noticed a few things here and there, but every time, every
Hmm.
episode, that's pretty cool. That takes extra work every time you do an episode.
Yeah.
There are shows where they use intros and outros that are outdated
Hmm.
because they just don't want to deal with.
And some of the outros is the same thing as the intro of the song.
Yep.
House, for an example. The
House.
intro is the same and the outro is the same.
All right, because House is one of my shows, man. I've watched that series over and over again.
Oh, House is great.
But you may be right about that one. I pay more attention to the music they use in the episodes because they, like Breaking Bad, they have awesome music choices.
Yeah.
Really great music choices.
Hmm.
I was psyched to watch. You were posting on Facebook about watching House. I was like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I put him in the same class. He's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Walt's an anti-hero, and Dexter's an anti-hero.
Hmm.
Now, there was this time when I heard of this show, Breaking Bad, and I didn't watch it. But I watched House and I watched Dexter, and Emmys would come along, and I wanted Hugh Laurie to win, I wanted Michael C. Hall to win, and this Bryan Cranston kept winning, and this Breaking Bad kept winning, and I was like... And the reason I watched Breaking Bad was to know my enemy. I wanted to know this show that was beating my favorite shows,
Hmm.
so I could make an intelligent decision and say I can say it objectively does not deserve to win, and seconds into the episode, I'm like, this, you know, and
Hmm.
addicted. Favorite show ever.
It is. It's up there in the top 5 for me. Top 5.
We were trying to think of if we got stuck on an island with only 2 DVD sets, like 2 box sets, if you could do that on a desert island. Breaking Bad, both of us went instantly.
Yeah.
I was having trouble deciding between House and 6 Feet Under, but Breaking Bad was not a choice. It was easy. Easy. Not a lot of music in this one, though. It was interesting, and I
Hmm.
wonder why that is.
Well, the next one is the music video for the
Is
Ballad
it
of
Echo y
Heisenberg.
Azul?
Yep.
But there's lots of music in every episode, so I
Hmm.
wonder why this one didn't have so much. Like maybe it focused us in more on these characters and what was going on.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
only music is
cause,
when Gretchen and Walt are talking in the restaurant,
hmm.
and that's it.
Yep.
Everything else is Dave Porter's sound.
Dave Porter is amazing, by the way.
Perfect for this show. He does great stuff.
Yeah.
It's dark, it's warped, it's perfect.
So, before I end this, any last comments?
No, I think this is where, if we haven't done it already, the only thing I'd say is this is where Jesse is a better person than Walt. And it's a challenge for this show to get the audience to see that. I'm still seeing comments. I saw one today about Jesse. People start to hate him in season 5. And I'm like, really? Really? Even when the creator of the show tells you, I would walk away from Walt right now if I saw him on the street. But Jesse's the better person. Even when he says to Walt, she had this kid, and he's like, okay, and wait a minute, on something else altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse says kid, Walt dismisses. So, yeah, the scales are tipping.
Mm-hmm.
Fun to watch.
Alright, so the next Breaking Bad cast will not be next week. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to be next week.
Plan on working.
Alright, so when's the next time you'll be free?
3 weeks from today. I have to do Columbus Day weekend. My last throw the chowder and the lobsters at the tourists weekend.
Can you do Saturday?
No. I work.
No.
For the next couple of weekends I work, and then I have weekends off again.
Might be in November then.
Yeah. Well, if I miss one, I miss one. Lots of stuff is starting up.
Yeah.
In October.
So it might be around November before I go back to Negra Azul.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll resume my Skyler defense chats. We'll see.
All right, so it's so that's basically what happened this week on Peekaboo Breaking Bad Season 2, Episode 6.
Summed up by Squish. All right. Thanks for doing this again, Shane.
I'll just post on Facebook whenever I get the chance to do Episode 7.
Okay. I'll be watching.
All right. Good night.
All right. You have a good night, too.
See ya.